Which Pokemon comes first to mind when you think of Generation 3? Is it Rayquaza, the Regis, Blaziken, Swampert, Sceptile? Well, whichever was your answer, we are probably not going to talk about that Pokemon today. For this video, we'll cover the 7 most forgettable Pokemon in all of Gen 3. So buckle up, ladies and gentlemen, for this may be the last time you hear about one of these goons. At number 7, we have Masquerain. Masquerain is, in spite of its sick design, very forgettable. And while its stats are bad, they are not the worst ever, given Mask is an early game mon with Intimidate and that has access to water-type moves. Masquerain's life, however, is being made especially hard by so many things out of reach by its eye-shaped wings. The fact that Emerald does not feature it, making it not even available if you play the best of the 3 games. The fact that Evolution makes it lose its signature bug water typing, which would have been an extremely cool trait, and the fact that what it does, aka beating the second gym, is done as well by Beautifly, which shares its typing, and Dustox, which has more interesting traits, all while being more commonly found than Mask itself. Masquerain is not exactly unusable, as we mentioned earlier. It has Intimidate. Its typing allows it to pivot into physical attackers with ground, grass, or bug-type moves. It can also stun Spore foes if it's not threatened by them. In the early game, Mask can also be used as a Pokemon that's just decent for that part of the game, albeit not the best. And surely, no one is gonna make a ROM hack where Masquerain is the #1 best early game Pokemon, unironically, right? Next up at number 6 is Delcatty. Delcatty may not be the worst Pokemon ever designed, hi Delibird, but it is definitely one of the most disappointing and unfitting in where it's put. Gen 3 already has a decently cool early game normal type in Linoone. Now, the devs probably were like, what if we added a Pokemon that was worse? Evolved by the notoriously annoying friendship mechanic and not getting anything cool or interesting like Linoone Stab Extreme Speed. In fact, Skitty's level up moveset is absolute garbage. If you get a Delcatty in a Nuzlocke or any other type of run, evolve it after it gets Charm at level 25 and just use it as a somewhat not complete trash normal type stab attacker and get some value out of it before it dies. At number 5, we have Minun. Not to start on a negative note, but Minun is not only a very mediocre Pokemon, but it's also outclassed by another also mediocre Pokemon in Plusle. Its moveset consists of mainly utility moves like Charm, Encore, and Thunder Wave, but the stats on that thing are quite bad, and you definitely get way more value out of Manectric or Magnemite than you do about the negatively charged Pikachu clone. Furthermore, the gimmick of Minus and Plus did not, in our opinion, warrant 2 different Pokemon. It could have been 2 forms of the same species, sort of like Basculin Blue and Red Sprite, but with different abilities and stat lines. Overall, Minun is pretty uninteresting. Now, if you are unfortunate enough to be stuck with the Minun, say for Nuzlocke for example, use it as a support Pokemon, albeit one with bad stats. Find ways to Encore status moves, charm physical attackers down, or Thunder Wave fast foes. You can also try to Agility Baton Pass, but there are Pokemon that do that better. Next up at number 4 is Illumise and Volbeat. Illumise and Volbeat, besides being the 2 Pokemon you are most likely to confuse with each other, are the second Pokemon in the series with the male-female gimmick. But unlike the OG Nido twins, it is extremely weak and only redeemed by Wish and Encore. Also, you might be excited by Volbeat getting the signature Tail Glow, but then you remember that Bug-type moves are all physical in Gen 3, so yeah, good luck making that work. As with Minun, Illumise and Volbeat are utility Pokemon, though they are decently better than the negative skill mouse for having Moonlight and, in Illumise's case, Wish. Try to use Illumise's Wish to restore a teammate's health, and maybe sack the Illumise for tempo. Volbeat gets Protect naturally, so you can use that for Norman Slacking, especially with something like a Tail Glow Shockwave Wind. At number 3, we have Castform. Now, some of you might remember the existence of Castform, as it's a Pokemon that you are literally guaranteed to get in Weather Institute after ejecting Team Aqua from there. But once you get it and put in the PC, you're probably never interacting with it ever again. Castform's concept was definitely the most original concept for a Pokemon ever introduced in the series up to that point, besides maybe Smeargle and Shedinja. Being able to transform with the weather and hit with boosted stab super effective weather balls is an idea that has gigantic potential. Castform also gets every special move it can ever ask for by TMs. However, Castform stats makes all the aforementioned traits valueless, which is as frustrating as it sounds. If Castform had like 85 in all base stats instead of 70, it would have been absolutely incredible, and incredibly versatile at that without any more changes. However, this is the PokeRebels channel, so you'd expect us to give you a cool way to get the best out of your little goofball. So listen closely. Step 1, get Castform from Weather Institute. Step 2, check its held item. You'll find it has a Mystic Water by default. Step 3, take that Mystic Water. Step 4, box Castform and use the Mystic Water on an actually good Pokemon. Thanks for listening to our TED Talk. At number 2, we have Luvdisc. Luvdisc is arguably the worst Pokemon of all of the ones mentioned here. Its only good stat is speed, which is not that relevant, and it does not even get as interesting moves as Minun or Illumise and provides less utility. The best move Luvdisc offers is Charm, which says a lot about how garbage it is, though it is at least thematically fitting. The other problem with Luvdisc is that it's available after you get Surf, which is very late. Some ROM hacks like Emerald Kaizo give you Luvdisc extremely early so that you can charm things with it, but the vanilla Gen 3 games don't, and that, dear viewer, sucks. You would be hard pressed to find any use for Luvdisc late in the game, let alone something that can't be replicated by Azumarill, a far superior water type with charm, which is not even as good a late Pokemon. Just charm something and die, or better, don't use Luvdisc, give it to your crush instead. And finally, at number 1, the most forgettable Pokemon of the barrel Gen 3 Pokemon is Chimecho. And you might be asking, what do you mean? Chimecho is not nearly as bad as Luvdisc or Castform. And true, Chimecho is not the worst Pokemon on this list by a long shot. However, Chimecho feels intentionally positioned to be the number 1 most forgettable one. First, much like Luvdisc, Chimecho is available very late in the game, at Mount Pyre, which is an absolute crime for a Pokemon that was not provided the stats of a late game Pokemon. Early game Chimecho would definitely be valuable, especially for Roxanne and Brawley, and can support its team with Yawn in the middle game too. And let's say you like Bell-inspired Pokemon and would not mind Chimecho's shortcomings. How do you get Chimecho? In exactly Mount Pyre Summit. And how likely are you to encounter it if you go there? 2%. It almost feels like as if the devs wanted you not to ever see this Pokemon ever. Chimecho can be used to yawn some of Tate and Lisa's Pokemon. It definitely struggles in most other fights you care about, but yawn is always an option to cripple something before you either die or switch out. Again, Chimecho feels like a very unfairly treated Pokemon that could have been an absolute presence should it have been given the chance, unlike something like Delcatty. And that's it for the bottom of the barrel Pokemon on Gen 3. We hope you learned one thing or two about those Pokemon, and if you don't, you probably won't need that information most hopefully. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and tell us which Pokemon you think no one else cares about in the comments below. On that note, have a nice one.